evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Before we go into our invitation and pledge of allegiance, I do want to note that Mayor Herndon had surgery this morning. He wished he could be here. He's already still giving direction and various things from the hospital bed through phone and email. So he's working on behalf of the city, and we do want to lift him up in prayer this evening. So please keep him in mind as well. So if everyone will please stand, we'll go into our invitation and then pledge allegiance.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we just come to you, thanking you for the many blessings you give us. And we just call on you now to be with our city and the people in it, all those who had damage to their homes, many people across our area injured. We just pray that you will bless us, and guide us. Guide our council tonight, the administrator, others that make decisions, that we'll be able to make decisions that you will be pleased with. We pray that you guide us in our meeting tonight. In Christ's sake.
Amen. Attention, salute, pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Well, call roll, please.
Councilwoman Bobo.
Present.
Councilman Washington.
Here.
Pro Tem Hinton.
Here.
Councilwoman Dykes. Pro Tem Hinton.
Yes.
Councilwoman Dykes.
Yes.
And President Hall.
Yes. Item 6 is visitors to address the council. We have none signed up to speak. This is separate from public hearing. So if there's a public hearing on the agenda tonight, that will be done at a later time. 7A1 is the second reading of an annexation of approximately 1.63 acres located at 8485 Charlie Shirley Road. Ms. Rand.
Yes, our chair of the order requests annexation of approximately 1.63 acres that is located at 8485 Charlie Shirley Road. This parcel will be zoned RS1 and does meet all requirements for annexation. It also does come with a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any member of council that would like to move to grant the request for annexation on 8485 Charlie Shirley Road?
So.
That's a motion by Councilman Hinton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Bobo. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Ms. Webb.
Councilwoman Bobo.
Yes.
Councilman Washington.
Yes.
Pro Tem Hinton.
Yes.
Councilwoman Dykes.
Yes.
And President Hall.
Yes. 7A2 is the second reading of an annexation of approximately 4.16 acres located at 5971 Flatwoods Road. Ms. Brown.
Yes, sir. This request comes from Mr. James Bean. He does request annexation, as you said, 4.16 acres located at 5971 Flatwoods Road. This parcel will be zoned RS1 and does meet all the requirements for annexation. It also comes with a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission.
Thank you. Is there a member of council that would like to move to approve this request of approximately 4.16 acres located at 5971 Flatwoods Road for annexation?
So moved.
That's a motion by Councilwoman Dykes. Is there a second? Second. Second by Councilman Washington. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Ms. Ram. Ms. Webb.
Councilwoman Bobo.
Yes.
Councilman Washington.
Yes.
Pro Tem Hinton.
Yes.
Councilwoman Dykes.
Yes.
And President Hall.
Yes. Now, Ms. Brown, 7A3 is the second reading of a conditional use approval for a group home located at 820 8th Street. Ms. Brown.
Yes, sir, this request comes from Matt Hinton Homes LLC. It is for a conditional use approval to allow a group home in a single-family residential neighborhood. The property is located at 820 8th Street and is currently zoned RS4, as well as the surrounding neighborhood is also RS4. The total acreage for the site is 6/10 of an acre. The total square footage of the proposed structure is approximately 5,000 square feet. The proposed group home will house 12 children plus support staff. A public hearing is required before a vote is taken tonight. This does come with a favorable recommendation from the planning commission.
Okay. And with this being conditional use approval, there will be a public hearing tonight for this agenda item. And I will open the floor for public hearing. Any member here that would like to speak for or against will have that opportunity. I do know, once I open the public hearing, we do have a statement that was submitted by the mayor, Mr. Davis has, so I'll open this up for public hearing first, and then if you'll read his statement, and then we'll proceed.
Okay.
Okay? So I will open the floor for a public hearing for this agenda item.
Okay. This is a statement from Bobby Herman, who's now had surgery earlier today. And I was reading it in full. As you know, I will not be able to attend on Monday night. If one of you would relay for me my opposition to this project, I would appreciate it. In an area of town where property values are not as high as other parts of town, I see where property owners do not want to see a decrease in value, which will certainly happen. Comments were made that residents of the facility would be under strict supervision. Having raised and still raising many children, I know that if a young man wants to venture out, he will find a way. If this facility is allowed to happen, it will set a precedent. It would be hard to deny locations in other neighborhoods. I admire Mr. Blackburn's concern for children, but in his trying to be a help for one group, he would be adversely affecting a much larger group. Again, that's from Mayor Bobby Herndon.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Davis. Before we get anyone to speak for or against this agenda item, I do want to ask, how many people are here for this agenda item? If you'll raise your hand. Okay? And how many people are here against this agenda item? Okay? With that being said, does the people that are here for the agenda item and the people that are against have a spokesperson? Or would each of you like to speak individually or just here to listen? So that's up to you guys. I would welcome anyone that's here for or against to come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and address the council. I love your button, by the way.
Well, thank you so very much. I've raised 6 beautiful children, and we just had Father's Day. It was the best day ever.
State your name and address for the record.
Sean
please.
Blackburn, 809 8th Avenue, Northport, Alabama. I am the owner of Matt Hinton Homes, LLC. Let me first thank you guys for the opportunity to come before you and to present my calling, my vision, my passion, my project. The Northport Planning and Zoning Commission has already overwhelmingly recommended approval for conditional use of my boys' group home. This is not a group home designed for student housing. This is not a group home that will be similar to the outpatient group homes that helps recovering drug addicts find their way. This is not a group home for parole offenders to adjust to a new lifestyle. I'm attempting to construct a 1-story building just under 5,000 square feet for 12, 9, 10, and 11-year-old boys to call their home. These are boys in all likelihood that look just like me, black and brown boys looking to find some stability in their lives. They're looking for an environment where they can be kids where they can be safe, nurtured, and loved. These are kids that need a fair shake in life so that they can reach their full potential and become successful, positive contributors to society. These kids will not be boys who have been adjudicated by the court system. These are not boys with some grave mental health or psychological condition. These are boys that have been abandoned and they have been awarded to the state of Alabama. And as you can see, we are going all out. We are not sparing any costs relative to the type of home we want to build. The interior of the property, I know that's very difficult to see, but there will be living space, sleeping space in the rear of the property, living space in the front, nice kitchen, play area. I mean, top of the line facility. Mackin Homes will be located at 820 8th Street. That area is a defined hub zone. My business is a hub zone certified entity. That designation says that the federal government will support economic development in that area. Choose Northport. I've chosen Northport. And Northport too recognizes that same area as an opportunity zone, which says very clearly that they too support economic development in that area. I have a few slides here just to show you what the property looked like before I got my hands on it. All of those trees and wooded area and overgrowth. And this is what the property looks like today. We've done a good job thus far, I do believe. One of the things that has set the precedence as well for my particular project is that there is already a conditional use facility no more than 30 feet, 30 yards from my proposed site. That's a two-story apartment complex that at any given time can house anywhere from 4 to 16 people. I've counted as many as 9 vehicles in the back of that property. So again, I'm a little disappointed with Mayor Herman's comments, but however, he has the freedom to do so. It was Herman and Hicks who did my survey and supported me initially. But nevertheless, it is what it is, and I ask that you guys strongly consider what I'm trying to do. I think it can be a great benefit for the entire city. Thank you. I look forward to any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Blackburn. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
I want to speak opposing the project.
Yes, ma'am, you can. If you would, please state your name and address for the record.
Yes. My name is Iris Hinton. My home address is 7314 North Bluff Drive, Tuscaloosa 35406. I actually had sent a copy of this letter to all the council members, and I'm not sure if everyone's had an opportunity to read it or not, but I did want to read it just for the public record and bring out some points of concern that we all have. My husband and I have owned property in the W.J. Moore subdivision since 2004. During that time, we've gotten to know many of the residents in the area. The subdivision has been a quiet, established neighborhood since the early 1960s. Many of the neighbors here have been here since its inception, and their children and grandchildren have enjoyed this environment continuously through the years. One of the biggest advantages of this area is the sense of community and the fact that neighbors actually look out for each other and are very protective of the surroundings and the residents. With the proposed change in the neighborhood, many of the residents have very serious concerns. The disadvantages of a proposed group home in this area. First of all, there would be too many youths in one home in the neighborhood. It's proposed that 12 children, preteens, live in a home of 5,000 square feet, plus caregivers, security, administrative personnel. Could be as many as 20 extra people in the area. This lot is too small to accommodate that many extra people in the area from many standpoints. Traffic congestion, higher incidence of problems with the children based on their recent home environment, additional friends to the group home residents gathering in the area, and the noise level increased due to general talking and playing of children and a basketball court adjoining several homes. I spoke at the City of Northport Planning and Zoning meeting on May the 11th, 2021, and expressed some of these concerns. I also became concerned about other issues at this meeting. After the meeting, it became known to me that Mr. Blackburn has been on the Planning and Zoning Commission for the last 16 years and knows most of the members very well. At the beginning of the meeting, it was asked if there were any conflicts of interest, and each person on the committee expressed no conflict of interest. During Mr. Blackburn's presentation, the only people to express support for the project were his immediate family, a wife and 2 daughters, and one person, his brother-in-law, from Akron, Ohio, who hopes to be an employee at the center. Not one single current resident in the W.J. Moore subdivision expressed support for the project. In addition, there were many people that came to the meeting to express opposition, and only a few were allowed to speak publicly. At one point in Mr. Blackburn's presentation, he could tell that the sentiment of the crowd was negative, and some of the members of the committee were questioning the project and its merits. At that time, Mr. Blackburn stepped to the podium and made his presentation very personal by saying, "Come on, guys, this is Sean," as he pounded his chest. "You know me. We've worked together for years." Although it's not illegal for a past member of the Planning and Zoning Commission to petition for a variance, it's highly unethical and perhaps illegal to use your influence from your prior relationships with the board. This was clearly attempted in this case. Regarding the neighborhood, many of the older people have health issues. One gentleman, Mr. Wardell McGee, is restricted to an electric wheelchair. He's been homebound and unable to walk for 2 years. Just recently, he received an electric wheelchair that has opened up his world tremendously. He enjoys going around the complete neighborhood and making a circle and coming back to his home. He's very concerned about an additional 12 children being literally directly across the street from his home. One of the sacred covenants of home ownership is the quiet enjoyment of property without disturbance by hostile claimants. This right also extends to tenants within the area. They also have the right to complete use and quiet enjoyment of their property. How could one dare say that Mr. McGee's enjoyment of his property and his ability to move around the surrounding area would not be negatively affected by the establishment of a group home directly across from his home? I'm not aware of any long-term planning by the City of Northport for this area. However, the establishment of a group home will discourage future commercial development or newer residential development. Once the structure is established, no residential or commercial developer will be interested in the area because of the large and expensive pre-existing structure in the middle of the area. Such a large structure would make it economically unviable for future development. Once the structure is built, there will be no turning back, and the impact will be permanent. This community does not need a massive 5,000 square foot building in the area. It's non-conforming in its construction and non-conforming in its function too. A large structure will be an eyesore for the neighborhood, where most homes are modest in the range of 750 to 1,100 square feet. It would also introduce a business environment in the area with more than 15 new people in a very tight location. Please consider the long-range effects of this project. If the long-range plan for this area is to remain a quiet residential neighborhood, the group home would negatively affect that goal. If the neighborhood is to transition to commercial zoning and therefore provide a huge revenue base for the City of Northport, then allow the residents to enjoy the increase in their property values instead of adding a massive structure that would impede the commercial development of the area. Regardless of which direction the neighborhood goes, the group home doesn't accomplish either goal. In fact, the establishment of a group home negatively affects both scenarios. While the establishment of a group home by Mr. Blackburn is clearly a noble effort, it should be built in a more appropriate setting. not in the middle of an established neighborhood. His noble efforts should not be a burden to the long-term residents of this quiet neighborhood. In addition, what is to become of the building if the venture fails? What use would it serve? What would happen to that large a building in the area? These are all definite concerns and issues to be considered. I appreciate your time and thoughtful consideration of the vast impact of a group home in this quiet area. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hinton. Is there anyone else that would like to speak for or against this agenda item? And I do want to make one point of clarification, with Mr. Blackburn's comment. I know he said that, Mayor Herndon's office had done some work, but, just received a message from Mayor Herndon that, he's watching from his hospital bed. Did want to say that that was before he was the mayor, and that he has come back out there but has not charged anything else, since his time being the mayor. So just want to point that out for clarification, that this was not done under his term of, becoming the mayor. So, yes, ma'am. State your name and address for the record.
Sure, my name is Hattie Blackburn. My address is 809 8th Avenue. I'm a licensed attorney. Majority of my experience comes from real estate law, practicing out of a real estate law firm in Mountain Brook, Alabama. I want to thank you all for your time because I truly understand how some of the community members feel. But as elected officials, and we entrust you guys as a community to separate what everyone is feeling from what the truth is. A lot of the things that were just mentioned are not true. I first want to address the mayor's statement. It is not true that group homes decrease the property value. That is just not true. I've sent you all a memo actually listing multiple studies by Princeton University, Stanford University, by the United States of America that state that property values do not decrease when there is supportive residents, whether that be a group home, affordable housing. There's no decrease in property value. Property value is determined by how that property looks at the time that it is assessed. And if you ever go down that street, you will notice that if our community members are truly concerned about their property values, they would mow their grass, okay? They would paint their homes a single solid color. They would put up fences. They would take care of their properties if that was truly a concern, okay? Because a group home is not what is decreasing their property value. And that is just what is statistically proven. And I think that, as members of the council, we have to really look at the evidence and we have to separate it from what we're hearing. Another thing that was just completely incorrect. My father owns the lot that sits adjacent or across the street from the group home. That's his lot. No one lives across that yacht. The man that she mentioned about in the wheelchair actually lives across the way. There's also not a basketball court that is going to go in the lot. But I also wanted to mention, let's take a step, let's slow down and let's think about this. We're talking about young boys, 9, 10, and 11 years old, okay? They have not been adjudicated in the system. Despite the hand that life has dealt them, they have managed to stay out of trouble. And so before we write them off as gangbangers and criminals and menace to society, let's take a look at that and let's think about that for a second. These are kids who simply have been abandoned due to financial hardship or whatever it may be by their parents and need somewhere to stay, okay?
Let me ask one question on
Sure.
that. So you said 9, 10, 11-year-old kids.
Mhm.
What happens to the children after they reach that?
They would age out of the system and they would have to go to a different group home. They would hopefully have been adopted or taken by a foster family.
Is that good for them? I mean, to be constantly moved to different places? I don't know. I'm just asking.
I wouldn't say being moved from different places. I wouldn't constitute that. The goal is to get them into a family that can take care of them, right? The goal is to get them into a foster home. Now, it's better for them than as opposed to what? Not having a safe environment for them to live in. So I would say, yes, that would be better for them than to be where they currently are.
So what would the reasoning be, like, to go from 9, not to raise them through their high school age, to have continuity and consistency for them? Because
Sure, go ahead.
I don't know, I'm just asking.
I know, and you are asking the ideal question, because if it was up to me, I would have 9, 10, 11. I would have another building up there by Sprayberry that would take care of the next age group. I would have another building up on,
So is
Martin
that how
Luther
it is,
King or
it's by
whatever.
age group and they all?
Yes, sir, it's by age group. They wanna keep kids of a similar age together. To put a 9-year-old with an 18-year-old, you're asking for trouble.
I agree.
Yeah, so the ideal is to, raise them together. It's just that when they age out of the program, I'm relying on Montgomery and my contacts there for transition to another home that would be just as good as mine. But I'm planning on being the top notch where all the kids wanna go, quite frankly.
Okay.
But that's exactly what happens,
Just
so.
something I need to clarify for myself. So,
Absolutely.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're absolutely fine. So I was saying that they have not been through the court system. They're literally just kids who are abandoned by parents. Willie Nelson went through the same system. Simone Biles, you have some amazing kids that went through the foster care system, who were just in need of a good home. I also wanted to talk about the increase in traffic or parking. I'm not sure where she's getting the number 20 people from. Okay, we need 2, and they're licensed professionals, that's it. So in addition to the kids, you have 2 employees that are going to be on site. And because the kids are not of driving age, we're not looking at additional cars. The parking, as you saw, was on the side of the building. What's great about the community that we've chosen is that I actually grew up there, and everything is in walking distance. They can walk to elementary school, they can walk to middle school. If they want to go to a football game or if they have dance practice or something, they can walk there. There are resources that our city has already created that they can truly benefit from simply by being in that area. In addition to that, in the memo that I provided you all, Stanford did a study of how, it takes a village of people to raise children. And when you have a community that has multiple different age groups, kids tend to do a little bit better. Okay, I was required to go visit my neighbor who is now 100 years old when I was younger, and she would instill wisdom on me. They all helped me grow up. And so this is actually the ideal location. And I really just want to point out, as I did in the memo, the substantial evidence requirement. I mean, there is no substantial evidence to prove that this group home would adversely affect this area. There's actually evidence to support the exact opposite. Group homes are providing a much needed social service for these kids. And I think that we need to take that into consideration, and we need to put our emotions aside. I know a lot of the adjacent property owners at one point in time were for this project, but after a survey of the lot revealed that they owned a little bit of less land than they thought they did. Now everybody's in an uproar. Now everyone's upset because their property is encroaching a little bit on the property line for the lot. And we got to put that aside, and we got to look at the facts behind group homes and how they can benefit our community. Nick Saban has Nick Kids, and he is an advocate for helping the youth that have been dealt a difficult hand, and he sees, especially working with his boys, what a good mentor and some discipline can do for children. And I think Northport is a perfect area for that. I hope that you guys review that memo that I provided you with, and I hope you really look over some of those facts and statistics so you can see that this is the area for this. And I know the mayor is watching, and I hope he too looks up some of that information that I provided with him so he understands that it is not true. We need to get rid of this stigma that group home kids are going to decrease property value, because that has been disproven for years now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Blackburn. Yes, sir. Please come on up. State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Richard Little. I own property at 904 8th Street. The property that is adjacent to the group home is my property. I'm not offended if it goes over a couple of feet or regardless. The fact of the matter is, I have a petition that was signed on May the 18th. 34 people in that community, that neighborhood, said they do not want that group home there. It's time that we listen to the voice of the people in the neighborhood. These are people they're property owners, they pay property taxes. Each and every one of them was here last Thursday waiting for a vote that never came. And last month, they was here waiting for a vote that never came.
Well, you're referring to the zoning board of adjustment,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Okay.
A copy of this petition was presented to each and every one of them on Thursday night as well. It's hard to ignore the voices of 34 people in the community. They're saying that this is not something we want to embrace in the community. I think what Mr. Blackburn is trying to do is a really great idea. I have no problem with it. But that neighborhood is just not the neighborhood for a group home.
You would like to see him do that somewhere else?
Somewhere else, yes.
Yes,
I would support it if he did it somewhere else.
yes, sir.
And I'm pretty sure the people in the neighborhood would feel the same way.
You said there was a petition of 34
There's
against.
signatures, there's a word that are against it, yes.
I do know that we did receive today, there was a petition, for Mr. Blackburn for as well. I think there was 13 or 14, names that were included here. A few, I think, were maybe the same address or maybe family members too, but,
But every one of these signatures are people in the neighborhood, of different, that's in that neighborhood.
yes, I wanted to make sure that we had all the facts out there for the council, that there was petition against and petition for, so just for the record, I want to point that out. Thank you for being here, thank you for, bringing that information, tonight. Thank you. Is there any other member? Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Sharice Blackburn, and I'm Sean Blackburn's wife. So I'd just like to make a few comments. First of all, in talking about the petition, I don't, you said there was a couple in each household, but the fact is that everyone in my neighborhood is not against this group home. There are people in my neighborhood that would not come out and speak about it, because as you see, it has pretty much divided the neighborhood. Some people see it as a good thing. They would not come forward because there's a lot of aggressiveness or negativity or bad vibes, and they don't want to come forward. So when you say everyone is against it or the majority, it is not true. There are some people who are for the group home. When we talk about this group home, I want you all to realize, and the comment was made, my husband said, well, you know me. Yes, Northport knows my husband. My husband has worked for the citizens all his life. My husband started out at A&M University as a big brother for a young man. My husband moved on to work at what we call BOPEC and is building our pride in our community when he was up in Pennsylvania. My husband came back home. He is a member of the Kappa Psi, and he has worked with the young boys as advisors. He has worked at the University of Alabama as advisors to these young kids. It's in his blood. He has been on the city council, which is voluntary, not the city council, but the planning and zoning, which is a voluntary position. And I forget how many years, but I think she may have mentioned it. Yes, he was, because he serves his community. He raised his family to serve his community. And then you wonder why we want to bring in boys in a group home. And that's the perfect reason why. We have a lot of love to give, and we know that our community do too. There are some that, and they say that they're opposed to it, but they may be, but there are some that are for this. When we start talking about these young men, these are at-risk young men. Anyone that reads the newspaper, that knows anything that's going on in the United States of America, they know that our young black boys are at risk. I am somewhat saddened that people do not look beyond self, because you know, that's this saying going around, who said it's not, if not me, then who? If not me, then who? You know, they say that saying, but there's another saying that goes a bit further than that you would deny someone a home, a loving home, where there's clothing and there's sheltering. That's our heart, y'all. Anyone, when my husband said, you know me, I say the same thing. They know us. They know what we do, and they know we do it well. The property, when my husband did take hold of the property, the community was praising him. There was a foundation on that property, a long foundation. There was housing, rats, snakes, everything, and people were coming out and they was complaining about that property. And so he bought the property. He cleared the property. Now the thing is, when he bought another property behind it, that used to belong, that the neighbors used to congregate on, the men of the neighborhood, that became a problem. When the fence came down, that became a problem. But he had to do that to clear out the land. So it all started going south. When he got the survey and they started imposing on other people, that became the problem. So when my daughter said, look at the facts, please just take a look at the facts. As my husband said, Northport is an area that is growing. There's a lot of things coming forward. I can see the river walk just going forward. I can see even maybe more parks. I don't know, even for the community, for water. I don't know. It's a lot of things that can happen in my community. And as my daughter said, it's all in walking distance, y'all. We got prime area. And some people know we have prime area. And if you don't know, all you have to do is look. We are in a prime area. So with that being said, I would like to close with, you asked about these kids being moved. What would happen after they turned either 12 years old and they would be moved. All I can say is there are a lot of people in my life that I didn't stay with, that I met, and all it takes is one spark to put hope in somebody else's life. I'm a nurse, been a nurse over 30 years. All they need is that one hope. And so when you say the kids, where they come from these bad conditions, these deplorable conditions, and then they come here, I don't know, if I had a choice to make, if I came out of deplorable conditions, and then I had a home, and a very nice, beautiful home, almost made for teens children, what would I do? Would I want that? Would I say, well, I know I gotta go back to a certain space or a certain area, and I know I gotta go do this, and it wasn't what it used to be. But I'm hoping, and we're trusting, that what we do, the kids are gonna remember that, and hopefully change their life. It's not about us. It is about what we can do while we're here. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Blackburn. I do want to ask, is there anyone here, I know that we've heard from a couple of people that are against this conditional use approval, and we've heard a few people that are for. The ones that are for have all been with the last name Blackburn. So is there anybody here that is not a relative of the Blackburns that would like to speak for?
My name is Ernest May. Live at 5517 Summerfield Drive East. I pastor Porter St. Paul CME Church. When Sean, my church member, asked me to come and support him, I was all for it. So I don't take a side one way, right or left, but I look at the greater picture. And for me, the greater picture is, as Cerise said, that look at what we are losing in the streets every day. Young boys. And if we can make a difference, so be it. I preach to them every Sunday morning. but we pray Godspeed that we can touch them and get them. So if a group home is a way to catch them and get them and keep them on the right track, Godspeed to it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak for or against this before we close the public hearing? Sorry. Yes, sir. Come on up and state your name and address for the record.
I'm David Hinton. I live at 7314 North Bluff Drive, Tuscaloosa 35406. I'd like to say one thing here. The Blackburns have tried to make it look like we're saying something bad about them or about these children, and that's not the case at all. I know the Blackburns must be wonderful people. It's a noble effort that they've got, and nobody's saying anything bad about these children, and I'm sure they need help, and a group home sounds like a great thing for them to have, but just not in this neighborhood. And Ms. Blackburn, the daughter, raised the point that studies have shown that it does not decrease property values in a supported neighborhood. This is not a supported neighborhood. You have a petition that 34 residents in this neighborhood do not want it there. And she may be right on those studies may be right, but this is not a supported neighborhood. 34 people against it in the neighborhood against 13 perhaps that want it. So I just think it's not the right place for this to be built. It's a noble effort, but it's just not the right place.
Thank you, Mr. Hinton.
Can I clarify?
Ma'am, we've already heard from you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Is there anyone else? Okay, with that being said, we are going to close the public hearing. All right, the public hearing is now closed. At this time, we will entertain a motion by council to move to approve or grant additional use allowance for Mackin homes. Is there a member of council that would like to make a motion to grant this?
So moved.
That's a motion by Councilwoman Bobo. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Dykes. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Ms. Webb.
Councilwoman Bobo.
No.
Councilman Washington.
I have a conflict of interest.
Is that an abstention, Councilman?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Pro Tem Hinton.
No.
Councilwoman Dykes.
No.
President Hall.
No.
That item is defeated.
Next item on the agenda is 8A1, which is the first reading of the ordinance amending chapter 28, section 2810 of the Northport Municipal Code pertaining to Williamson Cemetery rules and regulations. Mr. Davis?
Yes, Mr. President, the Williamson Cemetery Board met recently and made a couple of recommendations to the City Council. The first one is before you now is to take section 2810, which was the burial permit form, and remove it from the city code so as changes need to be made in the form by the Public Works Director to be done without burdening this group with a vote. So that's for first reading.
Okay. I'll offer that for a first reading.
Okay. The second matter, again, is recommended by the committee that you charged to oversee the Williams Cemetery. In 2014, the price for a cemetery lot was set at $1,250, and that council also asked this group to continue to monitor the situation, and the board recommends that a single plot cost $2,000, and that they be sold in pairs. And that's again with the recommendation from the committee, what they were charged to do by our council, and it's ready for first reading.
Okay. I'll offer 8A2 for first reading. 8A3 is first reading of a permanent resolution extending the contract of employment for City Administrator Ms. Webb through the first Monday, November 2025.
Yes, Mr. President. As you know, the Alabama legislature recently passed a law extending your term from 4 years to 5 years, and that of most other municipalities to allow the election not to coincide with the general election. So you've got an extra year for better or for worse on the council and as mayor. By law, Ms. Webb's term runs concurrently with yours, so this would also extend her term by 1 additional year.
Okay.
And that's ready for first reading.
I'll offer that for a first reading. 8A4 is a first reading of ordinance revising ordinance 2056 pertaining to Northport First Funds. Mr. Davis.
Yes, Mr. President, this is primarily to clarify the percentages, the maximum percentages for the 3 different buckets in the Northport First. And I would like to make an oral amendment to that. I'll pass this out. We will include it in the resolution for you to vote on, to change section G, which will allow this 1 cent Northport First tax to remain in place until 2/3 of the council votes to terminate it.
So there are multiple items in this ordinance revision, is that correct?
That's correct.
It's the clarification of the buckets and the percentages. So up to 100% of the allocation can be into responsibility, but no less than 50%. And then of the other 2 buckets, up to 50% each, correct?
That is correct.
And then the termination of the tax will be with 2/3 vote.
That's correct. And again, we'll put that in your formal ordinance and have that ready for you to vote on next council meeting.
I will offer that for a first reading.
As amended, Mr. Hall?
Yes, as amended with clarification that the 50% maximum applies to each of the 2 categories and is not a total amount for these 2 categories combined, as stated. Is that good?
And with the clarification of the extension of the tax unless repealed by 2/3 vote.
That is correct, yes. And A5 is the first reading of an annexation of approximately 0.78 acres located at 10295 Jones Road, Ms. Redmond.
Yes, sir, this request comes from Ms. Nancy Ware. She is requesting annexation of 0.78 acres that is located at 10295 Jones Road. The parcel will be zoned RS1. It does meet all requirements for annexation. It does come with a favorable recommendation from the planning commission.
Thank you. I'll offer that for a first reading. 8B1 is a resolution authorizing the city administrator or city engineer to vote and take any other actions at meetings of TICRIT on behalf of the city of Northport if the mayor is absent.
Yes, Mr. President, the mayor is our voting member by statute. This allows, if the mayor has to be absent, to make certain Northport has a vote on any item and can participate fully in any TICRIT meeting. And the mayor's fully in support of this.
Okay, so this action was actually requested by Mayor Herndon, that we always have a voting member there. And just like tonight, he's out the surgery, so this is perfect timing that we do make sure that we have a voting member when he cannot be there. So this is a resolution authorizing that. Is there a member of council that would like to move to adopt this resolution authorizing the city administrator or the city engineer to vote on behalf of the mayor if he is absent at particular meetings?
So moved.
That's a motion by Councilman Dykes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Hinton. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Ms. Webb.
Councilwoman Bebo?
Yes.
Councilman Washington?
Yes.
Pro Tem Hinton?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dykes?
Yes.
And President Hall.
Yes. 8B2 is a resolution authorizing the city administrator or city engineer to vote and take any other actions at meetings of the Tuscaloosa Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, or MPO, on behalf of the city of Northport if the mayor is absent.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. This is exactly like what you just passed for TICRIT.
Same thing, just for the MPO. Is there a member of council that would like to move to adopt this resolution?
So moved.
That's a motion by Councilwoman Dykes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Washington. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Ms. Webb.
Councilwoman Bebo?
Yes.
Councilman Washington?
Yes.
Pro Tem Hinton?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dykes?
Yes.
President Hall.
Yes. 8B3 is a resolution requesting 3 additional nominees for the DCH Healthcare Board appointment. Mr. Davis.
Yes, Mr. President, this would allow us some additional individuals to consider.
Okay. Is there a member of council that would like to move to approve this resolution? I'll move. That's the motion by Councilman Hinton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Dykes. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Ms. Webb.
Councilwoman Bowe,
Yes.
Councilman Washington,
Yes.
Pro Tem Hinton,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dykes,
Yes.
President Hall.
Yes. 8B4 is a resolution adopting an addition to the City of Northport employee handbook. Mr. Rhodes.
Yes, sir. As we are continuously looking to recruit and retain employees, this idea came up. You have a resolution before you that would allow employees, current employees and new employees to transfer any unused sick time from their previous RSA contributing employer. So what they would be able to do is only use it for service credit. So if a new employee comes in from the city of Tuscaloosa and they have 100 hours of unused sick leave on the books there, we would acknowledge that sick time and put it into a special leave account to only be used towards retirement service credit only, not leave with the city of Northport. But this is just another benefit that doesn't cost the city anything, but would be a great recruitment and not only recruitment, but a retention tool as well.
So no fiscal impact to the city at all. And, this would just be placed in a separate account for retirement service.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there any member of council that would like to move to adopt this resolution as a?
So moved.
That's a motion by Councilwoman Bowe. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Hinton. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Ms. Webb.
Councilwoman Bowe,
Yes.
Councilman Washington,
Yes.
Pro Tem Hinton,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dykes,
Yes.
President Hall.
Yes. 8B5 is a resolution declaring a disaster by the city of Northport due to significant rainfall and flooding from Tropical Storm Claudette. Mr. Davis.
Yes, Mr. President, this allows the city to put in motion the events that occurred this weekend in order to seek reimbursement from the federal government from a number of the expenses that we've incurred and will continue to occur. As Ms. Tubbs explained to the council during the 5 o'clock briefing by the city administrator, that there was one area in the city of Northport that received 9 inches of rain in that 24-hour period.
Is there a member of council that would like to move to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Motion by Councilwoman Bowe. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Washington. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. Ms. Webb.
Councilwoman Bowe,
Yes.
Councilman Washington,
Yes.
Pro Tem Hinton,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dykes,
Yes.
and President Hall.
Yes. 8B6 is a resolution allocating emergency fund for disaster expenses and damages due to Tropical Storm Claudette from the 2021 Northport First Funds responsible bucket. Mr. Davis.
Yes, Mr. President, the bills the city's incurring continue to mount and come quickly. Federal government repays that very, very slowly, sometimes taking months and even longer. What this would do is allocate $750,000 from the 2021 Northport first item at the responsible bucket and designate that amount to be used to pay these expenses as they come in by the city administrator. It authorizes her to make these payments, and then it also states that when the money is reimbursed, it will go back into this Northport first responsible bucket. And so you're to be commended for having this mechanism set up to deal with, as Linda said, even the example rainy day fund was used when it was passed. So that's ready to be passed if that's your decision.
This was definitely the intent of 2019, when the Northport First Funds were passed by council, that we were always making sure we were fiscally responsible this is how it was supposed to be done in case something like this did happen. But, Mr. Davis, as you said, federal dollars will come in, they'll just come in a little slowly. This is, so this does not come out of the general fund, and, then we can continue to do the things that we're supposed to do within the city, while we wait on this money to come back. And this will go back into, the Northport First Funds, once that is repaid back to us in the responsible bucket. And then, with that being said, I would like to make a motion to approve this resolution allocating, these emergency funds for disaster expenses and damages due to Tropical Claudette from 2021 Northport First Funds responsible bucket up to an amount not to exceed $750,000, which we think it will come in less than that, but, we do want to make sure that we have, that in there, so we do not have to come back and amend this, resolution. So that will be a motion in the form of a motion by myself. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Dykes. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Ms. Webb.
Councilwoman Bobo,
Yes.
Councilman Washington,
Yes.
Pro Tem Hidden,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dykes,
Yes.
President Hall.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is our consent agenda. This ranges from minutes, bill listings, PO requisitions, travel and training. Is there a member of council that would like to move to approve the consent agenda as printed? That's a motion by Councilman Hinton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Bobo. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Ms. Webb.
Councilwoman Bobo,
Yes.
Councilman Washington,
Yes.
Pro Tem Hidden,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dykes.
Yes.
And President Hall.
Yes. Item 9 is reports of special committees of council. If there's any member of council that would like to, give an update of their committee, they can do so at this time. Okay. Item 10, let's see, 10A is the first reading of our permanent resolution consenting to vacation of right-of-way for a portion of Mount Olive Road. Ms. Tubbs.
Yes, sir. Black Warrior Solid Waste has requested that the city of Northport vacate part of the, right-of-way on Mount Olive Road. This is 4,314 feet north of 82, and it's approximately 8.07 acres. They have constructed a new way into Black Warrior Solid Waste, and they're asking that we vacate this to enlarge their area. They do own the property on both sides of our right-of-way.
And since this is a first reading of a permanent resolution, we do have to open the floor for a public hearing, for this agenda item, so I will open the floor for a public hearing. If there is any member here that would like to come and speak for or against this vacation of right-of-way, for Mount Olive Road, please do so. Seeing none, I will close the floor for a public hearing. And since this is a first reading, there's no motion needed this time, so this can be offered up by any member of council if a member of council would like to offer this for a first reading.
I'll offer that.
Okay. That is offered up by Councilwoman Bobo. Item 11 is city administrator's business. Ms. Webb.
Yes, sir. I would like to take a moment to recognize the commendable service of the city of Northport's employees as well as our elected officials. With the rain event that occurred on Saturday, it has been monumental and historic to have the amount of rain that we received in that period of time. That led to various needs throughout the city, including rescue efforts that was done jointly by multiple departments. Our fire department, our police department, our public works and public utilities departments all participated. And the work of our staff was incredible. Some of you saw the images. Some of us heard what was happening as it occurred, and it was harrowing, and there were brave men and women that were attempting to rescue our citizens. Since that time, our employees have worked tirelessly and without rest, and in many cases, public works has responded to washed away, streets being swept away over drainage ditches, standing water, trying to resolve issues and reopen as many streets as we can, as quickly as we can. They've stabilized our assets. Public Utilities has worked to repair water line breaks and sewer line breaks, and have been working around the clock. Police and fire have provided security, and have delivered our message out to our citizenry. Unfortunately, we've had rain continuing today, and it looks like there will be a chance of rain tonight and tomorrow. So we do advocate that our citizens look and watch the weather, be weather aware, and be cognizant of continuing threats. Red Cross has been activated along with Tuscaloosa County EMA. They are doing damage assessments. There is a shelter available to our citizens at Northport Baptist, and we thank Dr. Hinton for arranging that. We have the ability to report a problem online on our website. If you'll go to cityofnorthport.org, you'll see a report a problem tab, and you can go in and hit flooding issues, and that gets reported and recorded for us so that we can address them. Instant Command is fully activated and is working. Ms. Tubbs is serving as our instant commander. Thank you to our elected officials who have been here physically in the building to provide support, who have heeded the call of the citizens and are getting the information to us so that we can reply. Thank you to our businesses who have provided meals to our individuals that have been working around the clock, and we appreciate the community support. We do ask for your patience as we continue to recover, and please stay weather aware. Can I answer any questions from council? Thank you.
Okay. Well, item 12 is Department of Business. There is none on the agenda tonight. So we'll go on right to item 13, which is Mayor and Council members' business. As stated before, Mayor Herndon is not here. He is had surgery today, so please keep him and his family in your thoughts and prayers at this time. I know as soon as he can be back, he will be here. So we look forward to that, and know that he's doing well. District 1, Councilwoman Bubba.
Just kind of want to reiterate what our city administrator just said about our employees working around the clock. A lot of people in the city, our employees have not had a lot of rest, and would like to make a request of our citizens to please consider that and not drive around road closures through the barricades and over the sinkholes, because it just gives us some extra thing to do to save you when you've made a decision to do something that is not going to be covered by your insurance.
Okay. District 2, Councilman Washington.
Just want to say thanks to the staff, the entire city staff. I mean, not just police, fire. I mean, everybody done a great job. Police, fire done a great job. But, I just want to thank all staff who please called and was here, and continue to be here because it's a few more days of hard work coming. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. District 3, Pro Tem Henry.
Well, I would just echo what Mr. Washington said. I want to thank everyone for your community effort. I thank our city administrators for giving leadership, all our department heads, all our workers, great efforts.
Okay, thank you. District 4, Councilwoman Dias.
I just want to echo what everyone else preceding me has said. Our staff has been phenomenal in handling this. It's a once-in-a-lifetime event. The community support has been phenomenal. So just want to everybody thank you.
And I don't really have anything to really report for District 5, but I do want to say that in my 5 years so far, sitting up here on the council, that this is, I wouldn't say it's the first, but this is the time that I have seen more of our city, of our staff, elected officials, everyone coming together for a common cause and working to get there. And it was shown with a lot of compassion, a lot of love for the city. And I just want to thank everyone else that did put Northport as something that we all would like to achieve in anything that we do, and that is always working together. So I do want to say to residents as well, I know it's been hashed already that we need to be weather aware, but also the main thing that I want to point out is patience. Okay, there's going to be a lot of things that happen over the next little bit of time. If your trash doesn't get picked up, or your garbage doesn't get picked up, or if there's a pothole on your road, or whatever it may be, if there's grass that has not been cut, give the staff a little patience, because there are a lot of pressing items that we have to continue to do and that are taking a little priority at this point. So please have patience. Things that you need done, that you may feel is something that's very important to you, may not be as important as something else that is going on in the city that you may not be aware of. So that's just one thing I want to say, is have patience, and we'll get everything back and show it right in the right direction. So once again, thank you to staff, thank you to everyone that worked so hard this weekend, and please be weather aware. Is there anything else that anyone would like to add? Not?
Yeah, I interject one thing that I forgot to, if there are individuals or businesses or churches that wish to help in the situation, there is a volunteer reception center that has been set up by Tuscaloosa County EMA, and that is operational at Church of the Highlands on Rossmine Road. So if you're looking for a way to help, please report there, and they will get you assigned out to the needs that have been identified. There are continuing damage assessments, and if there are needs, please let us know. We are trying to get resources out as quickly as possible. And again, thank you for the one Northport that we've seen, the people coming together. So thank you very much.
Okay. I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Bobo. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.